Red Hill, Gatwick Airport, Three Bridges, Aldcombe, Haywards Heath, Wimblesfield, Burgess Hill, Essex, Preston Park and Brighton. Customers for London Road, Old School, Falmouth and Lewis, also Hove and stations to Worthing, Change and right.
Hello everyone and welcome to our first ever live stream. So in case some things goes wrong, please bear with us and we'll make sure that we'll fix all the issues on the next live stream. With me is Cata, one of the Altrady co-founders. Good to see you again, Cata.
Yeah, glad to be here. And yeah, finally we're here because we tried to do this for 2 weeks and unfortunately you were sick.
Oh man,
but
I had it bad.
You're back. You're back, huh? Glad to have you back. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back actually.
I think might be interesting to let people know what we are trying to do here and just give them like a short overview of this new concept or program that we are coming with, so they know what should expect from now on.
Yeah, so basically we wanted to do some live streams where we can have some nice interaction with our customers while showing what you can really do with Altrady. A lot of people have made videos, but I mean, it doesn't capture everything that we want to showcase. So we're going to be testing out different strategies. That doesn't mean that we trade all these strategies ourselves, but we know that people out there trade like this, and we can show you how to do those strategies in Altrady.
Yeah. So if you have any other, each week basically what we are doing is come up with a strategy or a subject, and we're gonna go and talk about it. So if you have any particular strategy or things that we should talk about, just let us know in the comments, okay? And don't forget to subscribe. That's
very important.
Okay, so for today webinar, we are gonna talk about trend lines. So Ben, how do you want to go, and cover this topic? Because it's quite a very important topic, especially for trading and for the beginners. I know that it's helpful because it helped me as well. So maybe you should, I don't know, we should start with the beginning. Just let us know what trend lines are, just start slowly.
Yeah, so I fell in love with the simplicity of trend lines after I was watching videos from Tori Trades. I've shared this in previous videos before, and she just has a very simple strategy. A lot of people are hating on the strategy because actually it's too simple, it can't work. But often we find that the simplest strategies executed to perfection can yield very good results. So that's exactly how I fell in love with trendline trading. So what exactly is trendline trading? So trendline trading means that you trade by following the specific trend, and the trend can go up or a trend can go down. And if we zoom out to this Bitcoin chart, we can see that the trend is going up in the long term. So if you zoom in, you might say, oh, we're in a bearish situation, but actually on the long term, we're still very bullish. So
I don't know
in
if,
simple,
Ben, are you trying to share the screen or?
oh, I don't, oh, you might not see it yet. Let me share your screen. Oh, and the people aren't seeing it either.
Okay.
I need.
Hey everyone, look, a lot of people saying hello. Hello to
Hello.
you guys. Glad to have you here. Yes, now you can see all the screen. Perfect.
But now we can't see you.
Well, yeah, first time.
That's the
Definitely
wrong one.
are some small things to be fixed.
There you are.
For those that have not done a live stream, yeah, things are not that easy that how it looks like. I mean,
we even
a
tested
challenge,
it,
yeah?
and then even
Yeah.
still during the live stream, it's like, whoa.
I think it's okay.
So
Yeah.
everyone can see now. We're
Yeah.
here. And this is, it's part of the fun as well, right? You can see us mess up and just leave nice comments. Just be nice. Okay, so back to trendline trading. We can see that there's a long upturn trend. Right? So this is essentially trendline trading. We're trading along the trend, but that's a bit too easy, right? We need to actually be able to trade this. So first up, how do you actually draw a trend line? This is not it.
That was my question. Actually, it was something that I wanted to ask you. Because it seems that you just throw things on the chart when in the reality, no, everything has a meaning, and the way you are doing is really relevant.
Yeah. So let's start with the first trend line. So I like to use the rays instead of the actual trend line, just because it's easier to place it on the chart. So if we follow the strategy, sorry?
Ben, from where I can use that thing that you said?
Oh, the ray function is right here. So where the normal trend line is, you can go to ray.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
And if we follow the strategy from Tory Trades, because that's ultimately where I learned it from, we have to go all the way back to the beginning. And in this case, it's quite far back, and then determine the low point. So that was around here from what we have. So we can draw the first trend line. Now it will be exact, but it doesn't really matter in this case, to the first place where it will touch again. So in this case, it touches right here. So that's the first main trend. And as it's in an uptrend, we can make it a nice color, make it green, and actually we can save it as a template saying uptrend. Oh, typed right. Right, so now we have our first trend line. But as we continue, we can actually continue to place these trend lines. So we pick the first point again, and then we take another point. So that's basically what a trend line is. A start point and a point where it touches again. Now, it doesn't necessarily need to touch multiple times yet. 2 points is enough for the trend line. Now, this is not enough for actually taking trades, but to draw the trend line itself, 2 points is always enough. And we can continue to do this all the way up. And we'll soon get a nice little laser show. So
Yeah.
we have a very small one here. And we can continue to draw these steeper because the price is way too far off. We can't trade on any of these lines. And they're all still uptrends. That's good. Here's another touch point and another touch point. And now we can see that we're getting closer. We can't use this one either because it's already been broken. So we have to move to this one. And now we start to see that the chart is moving towards the current trend lines. But we're on the daily chart, so anything is still very far away. And we can do the same thing for downward trends. My apologies. So if we have to do it from the top, there isn't really a point where we actually have a downtrend. We can draw a channel, but that's not what we're doing right here. We really want to have uptrends and downtrends. So in this case, the highest point on the chart has actually been very recent. And then we draw it downwards. And then we give it a nice color red. And again, we can save it as downtrend. Using these drawing templates is a great way to manage your drawings. And if you're into trendline trading, then having these colors is definitely going to help to identify everything. So this is it on how to draw trend lines accurately on the daily chart.
What I've seen, Ben, is that, so if I have to think about everything that you talk right now, actually a proper trend line has to touch at least 2 points on the chart, basically.
Mm-hmm.
That will be the start. And another thing, I've seen that we can use it in different types of market, like uptrend or downtrend. So that will lead to my next question. I mean, what are the different types of trend lines that we have? There are more besides the uptrend or downtrend.
Well, yeah, like I previously said, so we have the upward trend lines and we have the downward trend lines. Now you can also draw trend lines for channels, which is a bit difficult right here. But I suppose if we do them right here, then you sort of get like a channel line. They follow the trend down and the price moves into a channel. In this case, it's an expanding wedge, but they can be any form, like you can form a triangle or you can have parallel channels. But the essence is up or down trend in this case.
Okay. And how I know that a trend line is valid? I mean,
yeah, so this is exactly where people are debating a lot. So first off, we've drawn all the trend lines with 2 touch points only, right? But the validity of a trend line becomes more strong when there are more touch points. But in this case, we would actually have to zoom in to do that. So we would have to move to a lower time frame. Let's say we move to the 4-hour. And then we can adjust the trend lines properly. Let me just disable the volume because we don't really need that. So let's see if we can find a trend line, if we adjust them properly. If we can have one with multiple touch points. One could argue that this one touched it, like this. At some point, like this was the trend line, of course. And then you can see it touched it here. And then it moved here. So this trend line is not very strong, right? So it moved through it, back up, not very strong. So we move it there. Now let's see if we can find another one. This downtrend is actually not looking too bad because we can have multiple touch points. We have a touch point here and we have 2 touch points here. The space between the touch points needs to be big as well. So this is a relatively small gap between 2 touch points. So that reduces the strength a little bit. But overall, there is a decent move inside. And if we move even lower to an hourly time frame, then we can see that there is a decent gap. So that really determines the strength of the trend line. The more touch points, the more strength it has built up over time. But with more and more touch points forming, the chance of it breaking out of that trend line increases. So what you will see is that a trend line with only 2 touch points, it has a lot of opportunity to bounce off it again. So that might not be the best way. If you're trading trend lines and you're trading the breakout of a trend line, then that might not be the best case to get in. You'd really want to have multiple touch points so that when it finally breaks out, the move will be big.
Okay, and now I start to understand. So basically, I have to check on the chart, you know, to have those multiple points. But still, that doesn't answer me the questions like, okay, how I can use those trend lines to place trades. I mean, I think that's the $1 million question, where everybody wants to know, okay, when I place trades and where I place trades. And I believe, yeah, the trend lines, it's a good help, a good tool that can help us with this.
Yeah. So right now we're still on the 1 hour chart, which could be perfectly fine to trade. But actually to find the entries, we can refine the trend lines even further. So with the downward trend, we can go down here, we can steep from that point to this point. And actually, if we zoom in a little bit further, we can go even further. Then we have a nice break. Now we need to do the upward trend. So again, we start from the bottom and we go up. And then we can change the color to upward trend. So as you can see, the breakout here would indicate a nice entry, right? It has 3 touch points with decent space in between. So we could enter here. Now the price move has already happened and it's about to retouch this bottom trend. So as you said, what would be a good entry? Well, if we're looking at it right now, the good entry could be actually at any moment now, because we're in play, the trend line is broken, and the bottom trend line, which is the upward trend line, has now become the trend line that we're actually going to follow. So we actually expect the price to stay above this trend line, right? This is the move that we want to make. So can we still enter? Yeah. We can. The trade is still valid. Now, in order to determine our entry, we could... So we can use the entry order right here, and actually we can just enter this trade, that's fine. But now for the stop loss, right? So we've decided that we might want to enter this trade. Then for the stop loss, we would keep it below this upward trend line. So if this upward trend line is broken, then we would actually be looking towards shorts, because then we expect the price to drop all the way down. So for a stop loss, if that happens and we're in the trade, then we actually want to exit the trade. So as the price is already here, our stop loss would be just about here. So usually what I do is I would just draw a vertical line and then see, okay, so this is the actual point. Just stay a little bit below it. And then we have our entry. Now for the take profit, that's actually a little bit difficult to determine right now, because we want to stay above this green line. But we can also see a support and resistance here. So now it's not completely trading trend lines only. We can also use support and resistance to find good opportunities for take profits. So in this case, if I wanted to set up this order and forget about it, then I want to make sure that I add my take profit. So I would set my take profit around this level right here. And then when I'm happy with it, I would just place the order and enter it to the market.
Ben, you mentioned before the support and resistance. Might be good to kind of explain that. I mean, yeah, you're using the trend line on support and resistance. What that means actually for people that are really new, I think it will be helpful.
Yeah, so support and resistance is just usually price levels where the price struggles to break through, right? So if the price moves to that point, then it usually reverses. So what we can see here is that the price moved up, it hit that resistance line and pushed the price lower. And then it hit it again and it pushed the price lower. Now you have those on the trend lines in this case, but you also have them on horizontal prices. So as you can see right here where I drew this, let me just make the chart bigger, where I drew this horizontal line, you can see that there are a lot of touch points. So this is a very strong support and resistance line. A lot of times the price bounced off this level. So there's a high probability that it will do that again if the price moves from this place all the way to this price level. So that's why we set our first take profit right there. Is that clear?
Yep, I think it's clear. I see that we have some questions. Do we want to take some of them now, or we should do
sure.
that at the end? Yeah. So I see a few questions. So we have someone that from the Green Crypto Guy. How do you determine the starting point? Is the daily your starting point?
Yes. Yes, the daily is always well, it depends a bit on your strategy, of course, but for the long-term trends, you would generally start on the daily chart. Yeah.
Okay. And we have another one from Definition of Happiness. Why not trading on just price action? He asks.
Well, because this video is about trendline trading.
Trendline.
Yeah, obviously, price action trading is just different, right? So it's just a different strategy. So why not do that? Well, we will cover that as well. We're actually planning a different stream of videos where I'm going to be learning that strategy, because I've not mastered it. But luckily, Roman, our designer, he's fully into price action trading. So we'll definitely
yeah,
definitely
that's a
cover those
different.
as well.
Yeah, that's a different setup that we are preparing for you guys. So it will be another webinar type where we're gonna have only about that strategy weekly as well. So more good things are coming soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we can jump back into trend lines and we can get some other questions maybe at the end. So you explained, you show us how you can actually place trades using trend lines, the difference between actually support and resistance. I know for many people, it's not clear the concept of when a trend line is broken. And yeah, maybe you can make some light towards that.
Yeah, so trend line breaking is also again highly debated. So when is it broken? When is it not broken? When is it fake out? When is it a good break? It really depends on your preference and how much risk you're willing to take. So a lot of people will say, I'm waiting for the candle close. So so in this case, the candle closed above the trend line. So that could be a clear break. But others say, no, as soon as it breaks out, I'm in, right? And especially if the risk is very low, then you could get into riskier trades and enter the market earlier, especially if there's a high buy pressure in a long position. So how do you determine that risk actually? Because that's not something that we've covered. When is it a low risk trade? When is it a high risk trade? Now, if you remember what I said about the bottom trend line being the one that we're going to follow. So we're actually going to exit the trade if the price drops below this trend line. What this means is that at this point, our risk would be this size. Because if the price touches here, moves back down below the trend line, that's where we would exit. So if we go into this position setup, then we can see that this would be our stop loss, and for the take profit would be around here. So if that's what we determined, so we're using this high support and resistance level as our take profit target, and we're using the stop loss below the trend line, then we can see that this is a very decent setup with a 3.3 risk reward ratio. So that's a very low risk trade to take. So this means that you could enter a little bit earlier, you could go in with a little bit more size, and yeah, really profit from this swing up. Now, a high risk trade, let's see if we can find one here. Well, if this wasn't the trend line, so if you say, no, this is not the trend, then this would be a trend line. Now, this is a very high risk reward ratio, because if we look at it and we would enter here, then our stop loss would be below this trend line. And then with this take profit, this would not be a 1-to-1 ratio. So this is a very high risk setup and probably not one to take. But luckily in this situation, the trend line is pretty close.
Yeah, sounds good. Another questions, and I know a lot of people are using trend lines with technical indicators. Can you show us how you can do that and let us know, what are the most used technical indicators for trend lines?
Yeah, you could combine them with indicators, of course. So, for example, the exponential moving average is widely used. And then actually it should be the triple one. Yeah, not just the exponential, but just the triple one. I like to use the triple one because it quickly shows me the 20, 50 and 200 moving average. So if the price right here above this trend line and is above the the 20 and 50 moving average, then there's a much stronger reason to get into this trade. So we could say that the moving average is in this case adding another signal towards this breakout, that this is a decent breakout and worth taking the trade. Another one could be to use the RSI, and specifically the stochastic RSI. If you look at this one, then you could say that this one was a bit of an overbought situation. So not very strong entry point. It would have been even better if the price is like turning down in this case. So especially if you're waiting for the confirmation to touch the trend line again, then you could also look at the RSI indicator and make sure that it's in the oversold place. And that's when you would typically enter the trade. Now, I find this a lot more complicated. So I tend not to use extra indicators like the stochastic or the moving average. That's why it's usually disabled. Sometimes on the lower time frames, I'd like to just check the moving average, but the stochastic, I don't really like it. But I know that there are a lot of people that use it.
Okay, yeah, it's fair. I mean, everybody has in the end his own strategy. We just share some knowledge here, but in the end, everybody will adapt that strategy in how they feel to fit their own trading style. Another important thing is, what are the most common mistakes that you have seen using trend lines? I mean, this is something that we should be aware.
Yeah, so basically it's not specific towards trendline trading. It's a lot of people would just react on emotion, and they don't really necessarily wait for their strategy to be in optimal situations, just like what I did now. I entered the market. Did I check everything? No. Was this a great setup? No, actually the move had already happened. But I entered anyway. And often that's what a lot of people will do. They get FOMO, they see the price move, and they want to participate in this trade as well. So they would enter in too many trades. Now, if we look at, like for example, Tori Trades and how she does it, she tells us that she only trades maybe 2-3 times a month, right? So she really waits for that optimal setup and for the price move to be absolutely huge, because that's when you make the most gains. Another one would be not to exit. So right now I have my stop loss here, and I can see that the price is touching the trend line here. So technically I should be thinking about getting out of this trade. Sorry about that. But staying into this trade too long actually increases my risk, or the risk that I had determined on entering the trade will then get bigger because I don't get out of this trade. And this has an impact on your success ratio and your risk reward ratios in the long run. So yeah, the biggest mistakes are getting in too early, having the FOMO, and not sticking to your exit strategy, right? You have an exit strategy with two options. You either get stopped out or you get profit. but make sure that you determine it beforehand and then execute it as you had planned. Because that's the only way to learn from your mistakes and determine, like, once you've learned from your mistakes, you can adjust your plan, and then the next time you would have your stop loss placed better, or you would not enter this breakout.
Okay. And probably the last question that I have is, are Trendline used in all the market conditions? I mean, can we use them in any market?
Yeah, you can use them in any market, really. You could use them in bearish markets or in bullish markets, and it all depends on the long-term trend. So right now, on the long term, Bitcoin is in a consolidation phase, right? So if you're trading on the long term, the daily chart, this might not be the great place to start looking for long entries or long running positions, I should say. Could be shorts, but
Okay.
if we're then moving to the lower time frames, you can see that there are trades to be made. Like, let's say if we had drawn our trend line right here, we would have a nice move up, right? And if we had, let's go back further. So this trend line, if it was here, that break wasn't very big. Yeah, there's one there. So if we had our trend line, this was from the past actually. Uptrend there. Uptrend. So actually, if we just use the replay function and we're here, we can see that this trend line is valid. And if this trend line would break, then we would look at a short. Trend line breaks. What we can do now in this case would be to draw a steeper trend line down. And this would then be our trend line to follow. So as long as the price stays below this trend line, we'd be looking at a nice profit. Price is moving away. Still touching it. Even further, that's a nice drop. And that's where you would typically then exit the trade. So if we look at the price range, this could have been a nice 5% profit. So it works in any market condition because you just have to find a time frame that works.
Okay, so that's the key basically, yeah. Trying to find a time frame and then use the trend lines for that time frame in order to place the entry and exit.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, cool. We do have a few more questions. So
Happy to answer.
The green crypto guy asks, do you also use a trailing stop loss with this strategy?
Yes, of course. So in this case, if the price is moving upwards, then you could definitely set up the trading take profit. So how does that work on the stop loss? You would use the protection function. And in this case, I would use the follow price, right? So I would set the start trailing like somewhere around here. And if we're there, then the distance would probably be somewhere around here. So this means that if the price continues to move up, then my stop loss would automatically move up until the take profit is reached, of course. So this is a great way to set up a trendline trade, like later in the day or just before you go to work, and then make sure that the position plays out as you had planned. So this way you don't have to sit behind your computer and wait for this to play out. Yeah, you lock in your profits as the price moves up.
Great. Also, he has another question. Can you also use the trendline strategy on lower time frames? For example, like the 15 minutes or 5-minute charts?
Well, you can. I've been testing it out a little bit on the very high volume coins. So, for example, Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Okay.
But what I
Slices.
find, just I wasn't finished yet, sorry. But what I find
Okay.
is that these markets are very volatile, and on the lower time frames, you get a lot of noise and a lot of wicks, and they tend to stop. You tend to get stopped out quicker. So especially if you're trading on that one, then I would definitely use the stop loss cooldown to not get stopped out on those wicks. Lower than 15 minutes, I wouldn't go, because the volatility on that one is just too high. The percentage gains that you can make is too small. You just pay too much in fees. It's not worth it.
Yeah, I think it's a straightforward answer. And we have something that I can answer from Slices. He asked if I can rewatch this live stream. Yes, it will be live on. It will be on our YouTube channel on the live session. Just click there and you'll be able to rewatch this. Afterwards, we have sound bites. Will you show again how you place the order? Thank you in advance. Or where can I get the introduction on Altrady, which has been promoted? Okay, so for that sound bites, you need to check your email, because in that email you will have a link where you can go and book your onboarding call. So we have a weekly onboarding call where people can join, and I'm actually taking that call where I can show you the platform and how you can use it, where you can place trades, and all the things that you need to just start with Altrady. So please check the email, because you will have a link in there where you can book an appointment for that, for the onboarding call. Okay.
Yeah. And also to answer your question about how I place this order, let me just quickly go to a different market, and then I'll show you.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter. I'm going to show you exactly how to set up the trade. So first, on the normal exchanges, you have market limit. It's the same here. So in this case, I've used a limit order. And what I normally do is I just select 10% of my portfolio, and then I drag the price to the desired level. Right? I'm not really interested in the spend amount just yet. It's just a quick way to get the order on the chart so I can pinpoint my price. Then the next one would be to set up the stop loss. So in this case, I can see like a small liquidity sweep right here. So if it dips below that, then I want to get out. And for my take profit, I would select the take profit level. Let's have a look. So nice level here. And if I want to add another target, I can as well. So this splits the size of this order over the two take profits. I can adjust it. So I can say get out for 75% and remain for 25%. And then I can see my expected profit and my expected loss. And in this case, you can also see what my risk is. Now, in this case, I'm only risking 0.3%, but what if I want to risk a little bit more, say 1%. Now you can see that my size is adjusted automatically, and you can see that the risk has now increased to 90, but my profit has also increased to 445. And I'm happy with that. And once I'm happy with that, I can just click on confirm, and the orders will be placed. Now, as you can see, these take profit orders are still dark. That means that they are pending. So if we look at my orders, we can see that these are in pending state. And they will be updated to open as soon as this first trade is reached. And then the take profits will be placed. And this can happen at any given time. Like, we could just walk away, go home, go shopping, spend time with family. This position will execute exactly how I've specified it in advance.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. I think once you know where things are in Altrady, it's quite easy. Actually, it's extremely easy to use it. However, yeah, at the beginning, if you are new to the platform and you have never traded and you have never used it, definitely you have a time that you need to get used to it, to accommodate with it. Blin, I have another two questions actually. He asked, any ideas to implement leverage paper trading with Altrady in the future? I don't know about this one.
Yeah, we are considering it. It's not as easy because there are a lot of things that come into play with paper trading and futures and managing positions. So definitely somewhere in the future we will add futures trading with paper trading.
Okay, and it's fun because actually it's a discussion between the guys in the chat, and Blin at some point says, why would I else use Altrady if not in automated trading? Manual trading I can do in TradingView or Binance and Bybit itself. Well, the reality is that you can't do the things that you are doing in Altrady on any other platform. So maybe, yeah, Ben, you can say as well. I mean, a bit of like, you know, like all the multiple take profits, the stop losses, the protections, the risk management, all that you're not gonna have on
No.
even TradingView, that you have the risk ratio that's done for only one take profit. It doesn't take in account all the take profits, and in Altrady we do that. So
Yeah, I mean,
it's way.
Let me show you the true power of Altrady. Let me just cancel this one. I mean, there are complex setups and there are super complex setups. So
yeah,
let's say I want to dollar cost average into the market, right? Typically do that by setting up a lot of buy orders right here, right? So expecting to take out this low and then the price would move up. So then I would set my take profit here, but I also want to scale up. Enter the scales, put up 5 take profits. Let's see, find a decent, right there. There we go. So now we quickly have 5 take profit orders. This is already not possible on exchanges. Like, you can only set up 1 entry order with a take profit. But if you add another entry order with another take profit, they're not linked. So that means that only 1 take profit extra will be placed, but they won't all be updated. And with Altrady, every time that there's a buy, all the take profits will be placed, meaning that you, even if 1 order fails, you can still profit from the long move. Now in this case, I've set it to scales, just to set up 5 orders quickly, but I can also go to the targeted mode, then I can adjust my take profits to the exact levels. 4 hours, there we go. Nice take profit there. there, and and what if I wanted to add trailing take profit? This means that if the price moves all the way to this all-time high, then it will continue to follow the price up and only sell on the downward move. This you will not find in TradingView or in Binance trading terminal. Then to make it complete, you can have the stop loss. And as I've shown before, you can have the protection function where the stop loss can be moved to break even. What this means is that the stop loss will move to the break even price. So that would be anywhere here, depending on how many orders filled, as soon as your first take profit is reached. This means that after your first take profit is reached, this position will never turn into a loss again. It will always be profitable. Now, we also have the follow take profit, which is especially useful if you use more than 3 take profits. And that means that it first moves to average entry, then on the second take profit, it will move to the first take profit level. And then so on and so on and so on. Really locking in those profits. This increases your average profit on a successful position quite significantly. And the last one is then the follow price, which what I showed before, where you can have the take profit or the stop loss move to a higher level or a profitable level even before your first take profit is reached. So if you have a lot of distance between your entry orders and your first take profit, then using the follow price is definitely a good option. And what I mentioned before as well, if you're trading on the lower time frames, you don't want to get stopped out on those wicks, then you could enable the stop loss cooldown. So in this case, if the stop loss is triggered, it will wait at least 5 minutes before the stop loss is actually executed. So if the price moved back above the stop loss, it will not execute. So this means that if you get stopped out with the wick and then the price moves up, you actually stay in the position. And then if you're concerned about it, you can also enable the emergency stop loss, which will cancel the cooldown. So if the price reaches your emergency stop loss, the position is closed and sold at market value. So this is an absolute super position. And there isn't a platform out there that gives you the ability to set up these trades like this. It doesn't exist. Like we know,
and the beauty of
yeah, we know like platforms like 3 Commas and Bitscap, which allow you to do something like this, but they don't give you that seamless day trading experience where you go from chart to chart, watch lists, charting here, drawing trend lines, all that kind of stuff. 3 Commas is really like only for the execution part, and editing positions on 3 Commas is a nightmare. For Altrady, it's very easy to do.
well, the thing is that also this mega position, you can actually place it in a click of a button, because you are able to actually save this position and create, I don't know, Command S, like a keyboard, like a shortcut, and just place it automatically. And that makes it even easier, like way more easier. There are more other things.
Like there, and a stop loss, that we could make it into a preset. Test, do Command A, save preset. Now when I reset this, there, bam, it's there. Which platform can do this?
Now,
Which platform can do it?
yeah, I don't know. I don't think that you're gonna find anywhere else. Actually, it's, you can do way more in Altrady. I think we are almost ready to the end. So I will take just 2 more questions, and I think we can close this up. Okay. So let me just check a bit. How did that? I see. Okay. Cryptonymous asks, Ben, last few weeks when I have made a trade, I always have to reload, update my balance. This should be done automatically. What can be wrong here?
Best to contact support or
Yeah.
Telegram so that we can look into that, because yes, of course, the balance should be automatically updated.
And in general, the thing is not actually Altrady, is the exchanges, because we update as soon as we get the data from the exchange. So you have to take that in consideration as well. That sometimes happens.
Yeah, you should not have to reload for the balance update.
Exactly.
If that's the case, then there's something wrong, and we just need to look into that.
Okay, I think this is it. Will there be any sale incoming next month for trade? In general, we do Black Friday. However, if you follow your emails that are coming from Altrady, you will see if you have something in there. So the best answer is to check your emails. If something will be, you're gonna see it in there. Then when will the next live session? So it will be each Thursday at the same hour. We're gonna have the sessions of for that we are talking and discussing trading. Yeah, and there will be multiple things that we're gonna talk about. And soon we're gonna launch the second session that will be about the specific trading strategy. So we're gonna have 2 sessions per week. So yeah, it will be full of information, and yeah, we try to share as much information as possible with you guys. If you want to know, or if you want us to talk about something else, please let us know in the comments. Subscribe, share with all your friends about what Altrady can do, and I hope that yeah, we helped you a bit with some information.
I saw we missed a question from Chill Life Thailand. Next time you can explain OCO orders. Well, we can, but we kind of did already. If you think about it, an OCO order is a take profit and a stop loss together. Well, actually, we went a little bit further because we included the entry orders as well. So it kind of works like the OCO order. You have your entry, and then you have your take profit plus stop loss.
I will add, Ben, I will add this on for the next session. Maybe we can have like a short time frame that we can actually talk about this as well, more in depth.
We can go over every order type in the trade form.
Yeah,
happy to discuss.
Definitely. Just let us know, guys, because then we know exactly, what we have to address, and if it's something that you really want to know, we are here, so we're gonna try to help you as much as possible. Yeah, Ben, I think this was our first session. Let us know also, any feedback is more than welcome.
Not super smooth, but
how we can improve, how we can do better. That's why we are here. We are trying to really, put Altrady on the map on the trading platforms, and I believe that we kind of done that. We just have to spread the word about it. So thank you so much for being with us, and wish you a great day, evening, night, or wherever you are.
Yeah, and sorry for all the coughing. I hope next live stream will be better.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for watching, guys, and
thanks a lot, guys. Have a good one. Yeah, bye.